when we speak about value chain, because most, in very easy words, each country has a stock exchange, but they are often limited to the local markets or the local, let's say, the local, yeah, I would say situation. When we look at the value chain, we always distinguish between what we call pre-trading. So this is more, how do you inform yourself? How do you make your decisions? And how can you participate, for example, in shareholder services, in research, and everything that helps you in guiding decisions. And you is speaking institutions, speaking other banks, speaking market providers. Then we have the trading and clearing part. So this is more the execution. And there we basically cover a variety of portfolios, financial derivatives. Then we speak about commodities, so energy, oil, gas, CO2 certificates, and stuff like this. Then we have foreign exchange, which is 360T. And then we have Xetra when we speak cash equities. And they make up like 50% of the value chain. And then we speak about the post-trading, which is asset servicing or custody and settlement. So once a transaction has been executed, we are like the notary function, right? So we make sure that even in 10 years, you still can exchange paper against money, that still in 10 years, you have the right on the shares that you have. And we are doing this for both institutions, but also for governments. All these companies like Eurex, EEX, 360T are daughter companies of Deutsche Börse Group. So they are part of our group. But they are the platforms that we provide. So everyone knows, for example, I mean everyone, but at least in a wider sense, like European Energy Exchange. So European Energy Exchange is the company label, which is a part of Deutsche Börse Group. The platform they are running is called EEX and ECC. So this is their trading and their clearing platforms. And this is then what we market through, for example, local power exchanges in different European countries. But this is at least how they work. And then each of them has a full setup of sales team, product teams, engineering teams, and services teams, and so on. So, and then on the post-trading side, we also have now are very strong in the investment funds business. So investment funds, also known, for example, when you speak pension funds, there we have in the recent, I would say, 2 or 3 years, fully enhanced to leading worldwide when it comes to the end-to-end value chain for investment funds itself. And as said before, why technology company? Because all of this is technology platforms. So each of them individually, and all of this is driven by technology. And this is why we always speak on one side being, let's say, a tech company in the finance industry. This is also what differentiates us, for example, from consumer banking. So consumer banking really looking at the end user. We are more providing the platform for the institutions, how to interact with each other. I think this is a bit the differentiation, but it's all about IT end to end.
I think this is, sorry, Lars, just to sort of add a couple of comments. I think this is a sort of really important aspect of the role of the exchange today compared to where they started. So if you go back to the days when exchanges were coffee shops and ultimately a venue for traders to meet and perform their transactions, the exchanges now are kind of unique class of institution in that they are at their heart the epitome of a fintech. They are sort of the bleeding edge of the technology users within the financial services organizations, but they have to operate within probably the most constrained regulatory landscape of most financial institutions as well, because as Lars was saying, they are the most some of the most systemically important institutions out there. So in order for them to stay not just relevant, they have to innovate. As Lars has pointed out, the different types of products that an exchange trades, they have to balance the ability to kind of lead the market and provide the market with a fair and efficient way of operating, but at the same time leveraging technology whilst doing so in a safe manner. So they're kind of a beacon, a kind of lighthouse example of how fintechs could operate. And I think that's where they, as part of the overall financial services story, I think that's where the role of the exchange is. If you look at the overall transformation within financial services between 250-year-old banks and fintechs, exchanges kind of embody both of those aspects, and there's sort of an interesting model for that.
Yeah, and thank you for sharing this. And this is, I think, exactly one of the points, because on one side, the hurdle to get into the business is like very, very high, because it's heavy regulated, and not only in one jurisdiction, but in multiple jurisdictions. So we are regulated, for example, in the US, in Luxembourg, in Switzerland, in Germany, in Singapore, and so on, just to name a few. On the other side, you have also this, you constantly have to further develop, because there is demand coming from the market. So when it comes to, for example, in the post-trade world, it's everything about how do you move to digital assets, historically coming from paper, right? So in the past, you had, for example, in the securities business, you had always a paper security that was physically put into the basement, and where we have been like a notary, we had an archive where those securities could stay for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, and still are today. In the future, you are speaking about technologies like blockchain, and how do you manage digital assets independent of borders, for example, right? While keeping ownership clear of whom does the security belong